So usually dental practice, and depending upon the practice, that they'll either hire the dentists and hygienists and whatnot, and they're W-2 employees. Sometimes they will contract with a doctor, or there's a couple different ways I've seen it. So like the doctor itself could be contracted to come in, or the doctor actually works for an employment agency and the dental practice contracts with the employment agency. So I've kind of seen it both ways. Usually when I'm working with dentists, it'll be a dental practice, which could be like one dentist and two or three dental hygienists, maybe a receptionist, up to 6 or 8 dentists that are employees of the practice. So. A small practice versus a very large practice, they have different setup. They have different administrations and back office and everything else, and the cost to do all that. So the insurance piece, I know I've worked with several people and looking at, with all of the administrative paperwork and whatnot that you have to send off to the insurance company and potentially to like Medicare, what does that all cost? You got to factor all of that in too, to see, are you really making money doing this? So that's one of the biggest things that I've been able to help people with, as far as where are the cost centers and profit centers, and doing some direct costing for each of those entities and areas. Especially the back office stuff like the insurance piece. Often this is like, this insurance company wants this documentation and it wants their bills reported to them in this fashion, versus this other insurance company wants it in a different fashion. And then Medicare is another one that is its own animal, and it takes a lot of time. And so we just have to kind of look at it and say, okay, how many clients do you have that are using this insurance? And is it really worth the time and effort that you do in it? So that's big pieces. The other pieces that is important, I believe, is how many new clients are you bringing in versus how many repeat clients do you have? And how often are they coming in, and are they following up? All this, a lot of it's in their practice management systems, of which I think everybody has. It's just they don't really look at it, so you kind of got to put it in front of them. Just make sure that they have it, so that if this historical trends are that you pick up 30 new patients a month or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're down to 22 new patients a month, you might not feel it, but you will eventually feel it.
Right.
And it might just be kind of a breath, okay, that this is comfortable or not. But you need to be aware, at least, and being able to look at those things. So we try and set up some things so that you have kind of a bulletin board of like, what are you looking at, what are you tracking, and what have you done, so that you don't get to the end of the year and go, well, I guess we missed our goal. And hopefully you can measure that and look at that immediately and try and make some adjustments and figure out what you're doing now. Is it different than what you did before, or do we need to do something else? And has it run its course?
You may know how many patients you are seeing, but how are your partners or employees doing? Based on your practice setup, this can change the financial outlook for your clinic and practice.
So advertising can be a black hole, and it just could be a mysterious bucket. And sometimes it works, and truthfully, sometimes it doesn't. So the biggest thing I really wanted to talk about is doing and making sure that the practice understands their costs and also the segments of their practice. Could be like hygienists. What are the fees that are being billed through that part of the practice, and also the hygienist labor? Or it could be, each doctor or associates and how much they're earning in practice and how much you're paying them out, because those are really big pieces of understanding the business. So people don't understand, they just figure they're making money. but they don't understand where their segments are. In particular, with insurance companies and how, maybe you charge $90 for a cleaning or $80 or whatever it is, but if you're contracted with an insurance company, maybe you can only charge 50, all right? And so you're having to write off all that extra money. And so it's really critical to understand with those types of costs, are you actually making any money at $50 per appointment? It has to be looked at, and each insurance company is different. And how do you want to deal with that? And maybe you shouldn't take that insurance or all insurance. Yes, it brings in a lot of patients, and maybe you're trying to work on volume where everybody's filled up every day, for 6 or 8 hours for the day, and you're at least turning them versus potentially somebody sitting, or that would be an example. Or so you have to really look at the model and where you're at and understand where are you making your money, and is it, if you're doing fillings or root canals, or you farm that out to somebody else, or dentures, or whatever else that you do, crowns, what are you making and how much time, and is that part of the model? And as with almost every business, there are more profitable areas than other areas. So maybe like a cleaning is a gateway into some of the other things that you do. Maybe you're only making a small percentage or a smaller percentage on your dental cleanings, but that sets up the fillings and crowns and whatever else you have that you're doing. So and that segues into the X-rays and all of those things. Those are cost centers potentially and profit centers. And so looking at those and tracking those, I do like to use some industry standards to try and compare, where you're at, and making sure that, you're kind of in line.
Are you a dental practitioner starting a dental business and in need of CPA services? Explore our core services on our website at sjwickcpa.com or give us a call at 970-224-3366. Whether you're seeking increased profits, payroll assistance, or tax relief, we're fully committed to your success.